But there's some things that we cannot control and we have to have patience for. So I'm going to start my message off by saying poem, and then I will go into the rest of it after that. So the poem I'm going to say is by Russell Kiefer. It's called Wait. And Kelsey is going to record that for me. My one aunt is in the hospital with a brain bleed, and she would really love to see me speak tonight. So I'm going to wait till that's done.
Really? Don't look up where she can hear you.
Sure, I can do that.
There, that's better.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, Wait by Russell Kiefer. Desperately, helplessly, longingly I cried. Quietly, patiently, lovingly God replied. I pled and I wept for a clue to my fate, as my master so gently said, wait, child, you must wait. Wait, you say, wait, my indignant reply. Lord, I need answers. I need to know why. Is your hand shortened, or have you not heard? By faith I am asking, I'm claiming your word. My future and all to which I relate. It hangs in the balance, but you tell me to wait? I need a yes, a go-ahead sign, or even a no to which I can resign. And Lord, you promised that if we believe, we need but to ask, and we shall receive. And Lord, I've been asking, and this is my cry. I'm weary of asking, I need a reply. Then he seemed to kneel, and his eyes met with mine. He tenderly said, I could give you a sign. I could shake the heavens and darken the sun. I could raise the dead and cause mountains to run. All you seek I could give, and pleased would you be. You'd have what you want, but you wouldn't know me. You'd not know my depth and my love for each saint. You'd not know the power that I give to the faint. You'd not learn to see through the clouds of despair. You'd not learn to trust just by knowing I'm there. You'd not know the joy of resting in me when darkness and silence were all you could see. You'd never experience the fullness of love as the peace of my spirit descends like a dove. The glow of my comfort laid into the night, the faith that I give when you walk without sight, the depth that's beyond just getting what you asked of an infinite God who makes what you have last. You'd never know, should your pain quickly flee, what it means that my grace is sufficient for thee. Yes, your dreams for your loved one overnight would come true, but oh, the loss if I lost what I'm doing in you. So be silent, my child, for in time you will see. The greatest of gifts is to truly know me. Though often my answers seem terribly late, my most precious answer is still wait. So, the first story I want to say is on, I think it was Friday morning. I come downstairs to my parents' base room and I hear this screeching and scattering, and there is a bird that's fallen down the chimney. And it would have just fallen down recently. I heard it thump and then screeching, and it's pounding on the glass and throwing itself, and it can't get out the door. And so the first thing I do is I go over close to the stove, and I grab one of my coats, and I put the coat over the stove, so it's in darkness. And I thought of this poem, that darkness and silence were all I could see. And this bird has been trying to get out, and I've just made its life worse from its perspective. It's just got to sit there. And it's in darkness, and it's trapped. And so I go and I get a blanket, pull the coat back, I put the blanket over, then I crawl down, I secure the blanket with some logs on top of the stove, then I crawl under the blanket, and I've got a towel with me, close everything off, so if for some reason I let go of it, it's not going through the house. Then I reach in the stove, put the blanket over it, wrap it around, pick up the bird. It was thankfully very still for me. It fluttered a little bit, but then it realized it was afraid, and it just kind of hunkered down and sat still, got it wrapped up. And that's still not what it wanted. It's wrapped up, and I'm bringing it through the house, and I finally let it out the door, and it's free. And sometimes I can be like that. I make a mistake, I fall down into a pit, and I see that's got to be my way out of it, and I smash against the glass door. No, that's not the way out of it, but I just got to try again, because I can see that's obviously what's going to work. And God comes along and he says, stop trying to do that. And everything's darkness and silence, and I think, what's going on? I can't do this. I don't want to be patient. I want to do it my way. I've got to find a way out. But the bird had to be patient. It had to wait. And then the next thing that comes is not very nice. I'm going to throw my blanket over it. I'm going to throw a towel over it, and it gets swaddled and it's confined. And it had to have, against its will, it had to have patience for this. And sometimes we'll have health problems, or we'll have something happen that's out of our control. We've got no other choice but to have patience. And that's a far nicer circumstance to go through when we can trust God and know that He is the one in control, and we need to be patient and wait for Him. So I've got a couple scriptures as well. I'm just going to pull this up here. So talking about waiting for God. So I'm looking at I'm still on the bird. I didn't write the scripture down, but Matthew chapter 10, verse 29, it talks about that Jesus is telling the people, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them falls to the ground without God noticing. And we are worth so much more than a sparrow. And God has numbered the hairs of our head, and counted out all of our days. And He knows every detail about us." The scripture I actually had written down for this was Isaiah 40, verse 28. "Have you not heard? Have you not known? The Lord is the everlasting God, creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint. To him who has no might, He increases strength. Even youth shall faint and be weary. Young men will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up on wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary, and walk and not faint." So, next thing I wanted to say was just anyone who's human at some point has had to wait. All through the Bible, from Adam and Eve, they're waiting. They're told they're going to die. But what's that going to be like? They're waiting for something beyond their control. Not that they looked forward to dying, but the fear of what was going to come to them. Noah had to wait a very long time on that ark, wondering when the rain was going to stop. From Abraham and Sarah, even Isaac and Rebekah, and many other ladies in the Bible, waited a very long time until they had kids. And Joseph, he had to wait multiple times. What would that have been like for him? The patience of him. Now, he wasn't falling down a chimney, but he was still in a deep, dark pit that his brothers threw him in. And he had to wait, wondering what's going to happen. And it wasn't somebody to gently pull him out and set him free. He was then sold into slavery. What would that have been like? Waiting out in the hot sun, frantically trying to learn another language. And then after the incident with Potiphar's wife being in prison and having to wait. He had no idea that God was using all of this, the blanket over the stove, that he was in this deep, dark place, for God to suddenly bring him out, set him into the light, and that Joseph would save the whole, well, not really save the world, but he saved the world around that area from the famine. God used him for this miraculous purpose. And speaking of saving the world, Jesus, how many years did people wait for his first coming, and now waiting for his second coming? That we all have many times that we've had to wait. So I'm going to end my thing today with James chapter 5, verse 7 to 11, which also talks about patience and waiting. "Be patient, therefore, brothers, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, being patient about it, until it receives the early and late rains. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not grumble against one another, brothers, so that you may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. As an example of suffering and patience, brothers, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Behold, we consider those blessed who remain steadfast. And you have heard of the steadfastness of Job, and you have seen the purpose of the Lord, how the Lord is compassionate and merciful." And with it being Father's Day, I also want to say big thank you to my father and to anyone who has a father, because it's something you need a lot of patience to raise kids as well. So, thank you, everyone.